Just remember, little one, in life there will always be struggle. Such is the nature of things. But in life, there is also hope.
Despite the fact that the Gears of War series is at an end with the third installment, it doesn't mean that there can't be side stories told of the conflict on Serra. Released on December 13th for the Xbox 360, RAAM's Shadow is a story campaign that serves as a prequel to the original Gears of War. As per usual, it's time to answer the questions that often arise with downloadable content. What's in it? How much does it cost? And is it worth the price of entry? Will allow me to answer these questions for you before you spend your hard-earned cash. The setting of RAAM's Shadow is, as I said before, prior to the events of the first Gears of War. You play as Michael, Barrick, and Zeta team, which is led by Lieutenant Kim from the original Gears. The team consists of the aforementioned Kim, Barrick, a character from the Gears of War comics, a younger, slimmer Ty Calizo from Gears of War 2, and a new character named Alicia Valera, who is voiced by Alicia Tyler. The story tells two sides simultaneously, though, as you also control General RAAM and some of his elite soldiers as they prepare the way for the mass genocide of an entire city. The story's quality is good for an action title. It's not exactly a character-driven story, but it does keep a basic idea of what story it wants to tell and then molds the action around it. The thing about Epic and the Gears series is they've become masters at telling a good story that allows them to blow things up the same way that other major shooter developers do, without compromising the quality of the plot. Thus, we get an airtight narrative with some great storytelling moments that don't often break for a cutscene and a bathroom break. I often use the Predator reference with Gears, and I think it still holds true. You got cool characters that are a little more than archetype, that are fun to be around, and you get to see them in dark scenarios fighting monsters. I think the main purpose of the story, though, is to flesh out the Gears universe. What we see here is the beginning of the Locust slaughter, and there's a reason I use the word genocide. These things are the lizard version of Nazis. Race superiority and all. They kill indiscriminately, and thus the story is very dark throughout. If you don't like action plots with serious moments and dark moments, you're going to hate this DLC because it takes it very seriously. For those who enjoy this type of narrative, though, you'll love it, because all the dark moments make the heroic moments and moments of success that much brighter. Going on about developing the Gears universe, the great dialogue that the series has shown throughout still applies to the DLC. Regular banter between the Gears tells us exactly what the COG is, and what life is like on Serra for these people. It's harsh, it's bloody, everything wants to kill you, and the government you're serving is comparable to the Soviet Union. What's even cooler about this is the fact that you get to play as the aforementioned monsters. Playing as RAAM serves a point within the story beyond just killing cool things and mixing things up in the campaign, because you get to see exactly how malicious and evil these beasts are on top of the power that they wield. You learn the Locust method, and see exactly how cold the Locust war machine is. Now that I've got all the story bits out of the way, let's talk about the content of the downloadable content beyond the storyline, considering the gameplay and presentation haven't changed too much. Were you to read a press release, it would sound very simplistic. RAAM's Shadow contains 3.5 hours of a new campaign, 6 new multiplayer skins, and a few new weapon skins. It doesn't sound like much on the paper, right? Wrong. There's quite a bit to enjoy here. The extra skins and weapons are just icing on the cake. The meat of the DLC, the campaign itself, is right on par with the rest of Gears of War 3's disc-based single-player. RAAM's Shadow is 3+ hours of intense combat that gives you quite a bit of bang for your buck. Aside from the fact that you get to play as some awesome Locust units to mix things up in the story, the scenarios that the game throw at you within the DLC are fantastic. Each new section is an action-packed romp that delivers every thrill that the series has been able to give up to this date, from suspense up to just tight action. The firefights are excellent, it's a great time for you and up to 3 other friends, and it never disappoints. The only problem is that sometimes the AI has issues, but Yusuf already covered that in his review of the full title, and I'd suggest that you read that review. My British friend was right on the money with it. To close this one out, I think that the last thing that needs to be said is that RAAM's Shadow follows what should be considered the legacy of Gears of War. Though the pretentious will make brown jokes and portray masculinity as a negative, those who see the game for what it is will see the best shooter series of this generation. RAAM's Shadow is an excellent piece of DLC that is worth the price of entry. Most shooter expansions are sold on discs for about $40 to $60 and give about the same amount of content. In fact, I'd argue that this game contains almost as much as Halo 3 ODST, but it's 1/4 of the cost. If you enjoy Gears of War, you need to pick up RAAM's Shadow the minute you have the time. Then again, if you have the Season Pass, you get what I consider one of the best pieces of downloadable content that I've played this year for free. And right now, I am kicking myself for not buying that season pass. For the full write-up, head to blisteredthumbs.net.